So, good evening, everyone. Welcome. I welcome you all on behalf of Educate Consulting and MIM Cosmos. Today, we all have gathered here for advanced data analysis with SPSS workshop. It would be a 5 days workshop. So, we are all have gathered here, and for the resource person, we are having Dr. Varsha Agrawal. She is presently working as an assistant professor and research cell coordinator at Center for Management Studies, Jan University, Bangalore, India. She has more than 7 years of academic and research experience, completed her MBA from ICFI Business School, Gurgaon. She did her PhD in the field of healthcare from Christ University. She has conducted more than many FDPs or related to SPSS, MOs and R. She has published more than 50 papers in many national, international, and Scopus Index journals. She has also won many Best Paper awards. Her area of interest is versatile. She has also done many courses from Harvard University. We welcome you, ma'am. Today is the first day.
Thank you.
Today is the first day, guys. So we would be conducting out the day one, as you might be having the folder in the browser with you. We would be conducting the day one would be conducted about the factor analysis, which would include the EFA, the CFA, the scale reliability, sample size consideration with hands-on session. So I think everybody have downloaded the SPSS on their laptops so that we can continue with further. Varsha ma'am, you can continue out.
Yeah, thank you, Shivani ma'am.
Okay.
If possible, I would like to interact with participants. So those who can turn on their camera, please do so. We can make it a little bit interactive.
Everyone, please turn on your camera if you can do it so.
Mm. Mikun katawan mo.
Okay, first I would like to know from the participants, like what is their expectation from this workshop and what level already you have covered, so that I will have the basic things in my mind. How much you have already covered in SPSS, if a few people can share their experience. What is the foundation that already is there? Dr. Mohit, would you like to
Hi,
start
well, good
first?
evening. Hi.
Good
No
evening.
exposure in SPSS. I do publish sometimes related to clinical works. So I just thought to
Sure,
polish
sure,
related to SPSS
sure,
and other programming
sure,
languages too.
sure. Ravi sir? We are not able to hear you, sir.
Oh, sorry. So,
Yeah.
I'm a first year resident in the ENT. I'm a first year PG. I have no previous exposure on SPSS. My senior told me to join this class. It will be very helpful in my thesis. I was working on my thesis protocol only.
Sure. Uh, Thanks for joining. Dr.
Okay.
Surya?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Dr. Surya from Chandigarh University. I'm PhD in statistics. Also, I'm teaching here the multivariate data analysis using SPSS. Now, I'm going to polish this subject by using SPSS. Okay.
So I think you already know so much.
Okay, sir.
You
Okay,
have
ma'am. Yes, I have
had
also
this,
teaching.
as you have PhD in statistics already, correct?
Okay. Now I am teaching subject multivariate data analysis using SPSS.
Okay. So what all you cover, sir, in that?
I have covered all things, I think, but I am only interested to polish ourselves.
Okay. Sure. So in today's session, as ma'am told us that we are going to cover factor analysis. So, factor analysis, anybody knows like what is your understanding if you've heard about it? For what reason we need to use factor analysis? What is the basic purpose? Why should we go for factor analysis? What kind of study actually needs factor analysis? Any idea?
I'm like comparative study, we need the factor analysis.
Comparative study. Can you give me an example of comparative study where you think that factor analysis is required?
Like if we do comparison between the universities regarding this CSR activities based
Okay.
on environmental activities or and social activities, so we have to do the comparison between both type of universities on the basis of factors, like in which factors they are doing more or in which factor they are
Mhm.
doing less. So
Okay,
like
okay,
for
okay.
that we need factor analysis.
Okay. Let us see how far it fits into this context. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else wants to say
To
something?
reduce the number of factors,
Yeah, correct.
number of variables,
Okay.
and
So why do we need to reduce number of variables? What is the purpose? What is the objective?
the
Why do we need to reduce it?
there are many variables which are
Mm-hmm.
not relevant to the study,
Okay.
or maybe three or four variables may be clubbed to accomplish the actual target.
Yeah.
So we need factor analysis for that.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So I'll just share my PPT and then we'll start with that. So I will just keep in mind that few people do not have any idea about factor analysis. So I will go
May
with
I
that
add
approach.
something, ma'am? May
Yes,
I
yes,
add
sure, sir.
something?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
I think when there is a problem of multi-collinearity among the independent variables, we need a factor analysis.
Okay. What do you understand by multicollinearity, sir?
I didn't get you. Your voice just
Yeah.
broke.
What do we understand by multicollinearity?
Uh, Too much correlation between the variables.
Okay.
Uh, Too much correlation. We, so far I know, if we make an output of correlation statistics, we get
Okay.
the too much relationship between the variables, and in that case, in fact, there's also, though I don't know too much, there's a variation relation factor from where we can also get a hint about it, the multicollinearity.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. So I will tell you factor analysis in very simple terms so all of you can understand and do not have that fear that I do not have a background of SPSS. I do not know how do we start with it. So all that you can keep it aside. I'll give you very simple example of factor analysis, why it is required and how it helps us. Okay, let me just share my screen with you. Is my screen visible?
No, ma'am.
Is it visible now?
No, ma'am, not yet.
For me, it is showing sharing. Yeah.
Ma'am, it's visible now. It's visible. It's visible.
Yeah, now it's visible, ma'am.
Yeah,
So the
ma'am.
PPT is visible to you all?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yeah.
now it
In
is.
between, if it goes, just do let me know. Otherwise, I won't come to know because Google, this Meet has different functions. I generally use Zoom. So there I come to know. So just do let me know whenever I'm out of this. My screen is not visible to you.
Sure.
Uh, so this is our factor analysis. So as I was telling you people that how and in which scenario we need to use it. So basically, if I tell you about factor analysis, let us assume that so let us assume that you need to take 80 people with you. Okay, I'll just assume that you have been given a task that you need to take. Let us say you are a teacher, and then 80 students you need to take in a group for a picnic or some outstation industrial visit or something like that. And now what happens that there is one teacher and there are 80 students, and then they tell you that you have to maintain the discipline and everybody should fall in line and everybody should be attentive. So you need to manage 80 people every time. So what happens that to make your task easy, what you do that you make few leaders. Okay, so let us say out of 80 people you make 10 people leaders. So these 10 people are leaders who will take 8 people in their group. So what I'm doing now is I have divided these 80 people into 10 groups. Okay. This I'm just taking an arithmetic example. We'll go for factor analysis also. So let us say these 80 people you have divided into 10 groups. So each group has 8 people and each group has one leader. So what is your job now? You just need to communicate to these 10 people, and these 10 people will take care of all 80 people. So is your job becomes easier or not? Tell me. Tell me
Easier.
quickly. Anybody?
Yes, it is easier.
Yeah. So what you have done that you have done a grouping. So rather than calling all 80 people together, remembering their names, now you need to only remember 10 names. These 10 people will take care of those 80 people. This much is clear to everybody. Now what happens that let us say that you have made a group without thinking much and you just made that group. Okay, where nobody likes anybody. So let us say first group has 8 members, they do not like each other. Second group also has 8 members, they do not like each other. So that idea will not work. Will it work in that case? Tell me. You have assigned to me to one leader, and eight students are supposed to listen to that leader, and nobody likes that person, and all those 8 people do not like each other. So will this arrangement work or not for me as a teacher?
No, it will not work.
It will not work. Correct. Why it will not work? Because you do not have a harmony among ourselves.
Correct.
So what teacher decides that? In that case, teacher decides that let me do not follow this approach. What I will do is I will ask these students who like who. So teacher gives complete liberty to these 80 students. Divide yourself among 8 groups. I do not mind if one group has 13 people or one group has 5 people. The only idea is that this particular group, all 8 groups or 9 groups, whatever they are forming, should like each other. There should not be any fight. Are you getting it? So now on what basis these groups are formed? Because of their like-minded.
Like-mindedness.
Okay? So I like these 10 people, I like these 5 people. So among us 10 people or 13 people, one is leader and we listen to that person. So now teacher's job become easy. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. Why it becomes easy?
Management is
Because
easy.
yes. Because now and there will be no fight among those groups. So teacher does not need to manage all that.
Harmony will be there.
Correct. Yeah. So now group A will be happy with themselves, group B will be happy with themselves. Whatever teacher says, they are following. Correct. So there is no problem with that. Now, let us understand that group A has 4 people. Sorry, 13 people. Okay. And group B has 10 people. I'm just giving a general example before actually jumping to the statistical analysis so that all of you understand the purpose of factor. So, group A has 13 people and group B has 10 people. Now, just imagine the scenario where group A ka 4 members and 3 members from group B. Okay. 4 members from group A and 3 members from group B are showing too much friendship with each other. Fine. All the time they are together. So sometimes group A members are with group B members, sometimes group B members are with group A members. So in that case, what will happen? Group A and B leaders will have problem or not in that case to manage them.
Yes, yes.
They will have.
Yes.
Correct.
Hmm.
Why did we form different groups? Because the idea was they should be in their group.
Correct.
And they should listen to their leader. But now what happened? These 4 people and these 3 people, they are creating disturbance. They are not restricted to their group. They are jumping here and there. Fine. So in that case, problem arises. So the first case which I was telling you about like-mindedness was for factor analysis. Okay. So these 80 people, when you told them to divide yourself according to their own convenience, that time I'm telling you that whosoever is related to whomsoever, you just divide yourself. So automatically these people are forming their groups. Without I am restricting number of groups, without I am restricting their what you say, their interest. Okay, so they are forming 8 groups or they are forming 10 groups, or each group is having different number of members. I am not intervening into that. That comes automatically as EFA, exploratory factor analysis. So if I convert these 80 students into 80 variables, so these 80 variables will be formed into different factors automatically based on correlation values of each other. So whosoever is showing correlation with each other will form one group. Like that, we are coming out with 8 to 9 or 13, whatever factors you get, like that you get. The another example which I was giving you for 4 members and 3 members, that was for multicollinearity, which creates a problem. So whenever we are going for factor analysis, we need to see that multicollinearity does not exist. Whomsoever is showing high correlation with each other, they should be in one group. No group should show correlation with another group. Did you understand this much or not? Till here, if you have any doubts, ask.
अब
Just
पता
wait
चला
a
Madam,
second.
please explain
अब पता
EFA.
चला मल्टीकुलर क्या होती है.
I think this example will clear all your doubts.
Yeah, best example of multicollinearity. That the people of two groups should not intermingle with each other.
Yes.
Okay. And
When
too
I've
much.
given you the freedom that
Yeah.
you form your group, then what is the point that you are showing interest to another group?
No, but they should intermingle, but not to such an extent that they
Yes.
do not seem to be of
Yes.
different group.
Yes. Little bit is okay. Little bit will happen.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Too much not.
not beyond to my head. It should not happen that I'm not able to control you because of that multicollinearity. That time it becomes a problem for me. Correct, no? Another example also you can take that in big colleges like IITs, they have multiple hostels. Okay, so few people are allocated to one hostel, few are for another, and then they have been told that based on their interest they can choose a hostel. But after some time they just start going here, there, and then the entire discipline goes for a toss. So in that case, that is another example of multicollinearity. Whomsoever you have been allocated, you be in that group. Little bit friendship and all, it is okay with another group, but not too much. Are we clear till here? Okay. Another thing about factor analysis, see, factor analysis is one tool which has been used in most of the research papers. So this tool we should know. If we are going for writing a basic paper also, or paper for Scopus or high index journal, factor analysis is one tool which most of the time we have to use. So what are the requirements? I need one questionnaire. This questionnaire should be of Likert scale type. So Likert scale may be for 5 points, it can be for 7 points, it can be more also. But generally, we use a 5-point Likert scale. So basically, I need a questionnaire which has approximately more than 8 to 9 questions. That is, I'm telling minimum. Okay. So I'm not focusing on the before whatever, how do you enter data into SPSS and all. I will just tell you briefly because we are focusing on factor analysis now. So what happens that in what situation we should use factor analysis? So let us say that I want to describe a person, or I want to describe a country, or I want to describe food, how it is. Okay. So how will you describe? Tell me. If I ask you that how is the food today, how will you describe?
In terms of some quality parameters, like it is good, it is tasty, it is
Somebody will tell that it is
it's
very
less
healthy.
spicy, it is healthy, it is less containing less oil. So there will be some qualitative factors.
Yes, correct. So let us say that you are telling me it should be tasty, somebody is telling me it should look good, somebody is telling me it should be healthy, somebody is telling me it should be less spicy, somebody is telling me it should be more spicy, somebody is telling me it should be delicious, somebody is telling me it should be continental food, somebody is telling me it should be a mixture of dishes. So a lot of things you have to say about the food. Okay, even if you're serving same food to 4 people, they will describe the same food with different ways. Correct. Now, well, the idea is that you need to summarize it because every time you cannot use those 20 or 30 specifications of a certain item. It can be a person also, it can be a thing also, it can be a service also, anything. If I ask you that uh, what are the reasons you visit a bank? So you will give me n number of reasons. Okay. If I ask you what are the reasons which forces you to go for online shopping, you will give me n number of reasons. Correct. And everybody will have different reasons. So now let us say I want to conduct a research on that what are the factors which influence a single person to go for online shopping. So in that case, what is my job? I need to collect all those statements. Okay, all those reasons which tells me to go for online shopping. And then I need to summarize. Then I need to go for factor analysis, which tells me main components or factors which actually tells me to go for online shopping. Is it clear? This type of scenario we use for factor analysis. So first you describe everything in very detailed manner, and then you need to summarize it. So in that scenario, we need to use factor analysis. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, it is cleared.
Okay. So now I go to PPT little bit. We start with the statistics. Yeah. So now I've told you the purpose of factor analysis, and the PPT is visible, correct?
Yes.
Clear, visible.
So this is the
Yes, clearly.
authentic language for factor analysis. So we call it as dimension reduction. Okay. So it is used when the researcher is interested in identifying a smaller number of factors underlying a large number of observed variables. Maybe I'm observing 80 variables and then I want to reduce them in number of factors, maybe 8 to 10 or maybe more also. I do not know. That will depend when I will run it. Okay, so there is no fixed number of factors which I will know. A researcher is interested in identifying celebrity characteristics. This is just an example, okay, which are perceived by general public. So how do you define a celebrity? How a celebrity should be? Okay, somebody will tell that they should be tall. Somebody will tell they should be attractive. Somebody will tell they should be intelligent. Somebody will tell that they should be fair. Somebody will tell that they should, they should be dependable. Okay. So n number of people will ask, tell me different characteristics, and respondents should rate the importance for a celebrity. So factor analysis of these items may reveal the underlying dimensions of important celebrity characteristics. Okay, so we have asked many people that what are the characteristics you see for a celebrity. So they tell you different characteristics of a celebrity, and then we run factor analysis on that, and accordingly we will come to know that which are the brief factors. Okay. So which are the basic concepts in factor analysis? So one is EFA, that is exploratory factor analysis. And if I tell you what is EFA and CFA, there will be a lot of confusion, correct? Anybody has clarity about EFA and CFA? Tell me. Anybody has any two clear differences, if you can tell me about EFA and CFA?
Ma'am, in EFA, we are searching or exploring the underlying factors or dimensions, and it is a narrow, we can say.
Correct.
And confirmatory factor analysis, CFA, we are just confirming the factor in our sample.
Okay.
It is a wider as compared to EFA.
Okay. Which one is better?
Ma'am, both are better. In EFA, we are trying to explore the dimensions and factors. But when we already have the dimensions and factors, when we just need to confirm in our sample, so we have to apply CFA technique.
Correct. Which one is a statistical analysis here, and which one is using a review of literature only?
Review of literature is used in case of EFA. And ma'am, I don't have that much idea, but I think review of literature is EFA, and
Okay.
CFA is, we are just trying to validate the scale.
Okay. Fine.
And this is
So again, this I will examine. So what happens in EFA and CFA? Basically, if I tell you the simple difference, this is one more tricky term which confuses everybody. EFA is exploratory factor analysis. CFA is confirmatory factor analysis. And as the name suggests, E and C, exploratory and confirmatory. Exploratory means I am exploring number of factors, which I do not know. Confirmatory means I already know number of factors. So let us say if I run a questionnaire which has already been validated, already been tested. If I take example of TAM model, web qual model, service quality model, these are some questionnaires which has already been used lakhs or millions of times by various researchers. Do we need to again establish their reliability? A questionnaire which has already been used several times. Okay, already established reliability, validity, number of factors have been calculated in number of times. And if a Sarvapal model, if you take, which is given by Parasuraman, it has 5 factors. Okay, responsibility, tangibility, assurance, and all. So 5 factors it has. So approximately 25 questions you run, and you get 5 factors. So every time you need to get those 5 factors only. This is known as confirmatory factor analysis. How do I come to know that it has 5 factors? From review of literature. So review of literature already tells me that this is a questionnaire and these are the factors. What is my job now? I just collect the data using the same questionnaire without any change. I run EFA on that and I'm getting the same number of factors. Okay, that is only for my satisfaction. Actually, what happens that I run CFA. CFA is nothing but you're just already you have established the model theoretically. You know which question is for which factor, and then you just run it for using structural equation model. You just draw the model, and as it is, you are getting those factors, and it supports your review of literature. So you are just verifying it. What you have already collected the data using this questionnaire, and based on that, you are giving your findings. This is your CFA. EFA means when I'm running these 25 questions, I do not know how many factors I will be getting. There is no theoretical evidence, there is no review of literature on this questionnaire, which means that this questionnaire does not have fixed number of factors. I need to explore it. Or maybe I have taken already established questionnaire, but I have changed it due to my study requirements. So I have to explore the number of factors. In that case, I run EFA. Is it clear to everybody or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, my connection was lost. So in EFA, we start with basically literature review, ma'am.
See, if I tell you that each research starts with the review of literature only. But the difference is that in EFA, you are just taking the questionnaire. Okay, you are not making a questionnaire. You are taking a questionnaire which is already been reliability, validity is already been established. But what is the
Okay.
difference? That I am changing or modifying it according to my study requirements.
Okay, ma'am.
If I am taking the questionnaire as it is, word to word,
Hmm.
that time I already know the number of factors which will come out. So that is CFA. But
Okay,
when
ma'am.
I'm changing the questionnaire or I'm making a questionnaire at my own, I'm doing a skill development in all those cases, I go for EFA.
Okay, understood. So EFA is basically an initial study, and CFA is a
Yes,
refined study
yes, yes,
after EFA.
yeah.
Ma'am, is it also possible that CFA should be conducted first and EFA later? Is there any hypothetical case?
In India, what happens that for our own self-satisfaction, we do both. However, it is not required.
Mhm.
What they do that because they are not completely satisfied, or maybe they are doing in background some data manipulations and all. So what they do that they in background they run EFA and then they go for CFA, so that
Okay.
both the things match. See
Uh,
what happens that your CFA will only work when your respondents are very very serious. You have taken a instrument which is very much validated. Okay, so ideally it should show the same result which other studies are also telling you.
correct,
Correct.
correct. Hmm.
But now what if your respondents have not responded
Uh-huh.
correctly?
Okay, okay.
Will it match? It will not match. No,
Right, right, right. Huh,
fine.
at least there should be some correlation, 90% or 85%
Yeah,
correlation.
yeah. So what
Correct.
happens is 10%, 20% gap remains. So
Right.
what researchers do, they in background they run EFA. Then
Uh-huh.
they do here and there, and then they
Okay.
try to match it.
Okay. Then that is a different story altogether.
Yeah, yeah. So they do not show the EFA, they show CFA only.
Acha ji.
But practically what happens that CFA will come correct, pakka CFA will come when your respondents have seriously, first of all, you should be serious when you're giving the questionnaire to them. It should not happen that to your neighbor, to your children, everybody you're giving the questionnaire.
Correct.
Okay. That way, if you're filling the questionnaire, you know the result.
Yes, yes. True.
So, first of all, you should be sincere and then your respondent should be sincere.
So that means ideally first EFA and then CFA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Right.
few stages like EFA, sometimes when you're going for CFA, EFA also works for me as a validation of my instrument. So little bit stages of EFA I run just to check whether my data is appropriate or not. So when I run EFA in my data, it will tell me that whether all the questions are supporting or not.
Okay.
Getting it?
Okay.
As I told you, 80 people you are going with a field trip. Okay. So now what happens that when you're going for a 1 month trip, what happens? You ask for medical certificate from each student, whether you're fit for this trip or not.
Uh-huh.
Correct. What happens that if you do not check that after 5 days on a trip, somebody is having fracture, somebody is having headache, somebody is having heart problem, somebody is having breathing problem, all that
Ji.
happens. So what will happen to that? You will not be able to complete your trip.
Correct, correct.
So for that basic level medical check you do. Same thing we do here. When we are going for CFA, little bit 1 or 2 stages of correlation or EFA we run. So it tells us the health of our data, whether it is fit or
Okay.
not, to go ahead.
Good correlation. Good analogy.
So
Thank
what
you.
happens that let us say that a variable is weak.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in that case, I should not, I should drop it there and there only.
Mm-hmm.
Or I should do something else so that I can treat that weakness. Otherwise, it will trouble me later.
Okay. So, ma'am,
So in the beginning, we do some check.
okay. So it is a basically health checking, or we can say preliminary study for our research.
See, pilot study, reliability analysis, validity analysis, these all are your health check.
Okay.
Whether your data is fit or not for the final analysis.
Okay.
If they are fit, then only you take them along. Otherwise, drop them there only.
Okay. So this is the foundation for further research.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Rather than spoiling your final trip, drop them there.
Okay.
And then again, you need to see that how important they are for your study.
Okay.
Getting it? So if they are very, very important, you are not in a position to drop them, then you have to take them for the journey, the final analysis. And then later that time you will see that what you do want to do with that.
Okay.
Maybe you need to come back and then you need to drop them.
Mm-hmm.
Accordingly.
Okay.
Is everybody
Very nice
understanding here?
example, ma'am. Very nice examples.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
So I think that much is clear. So now EFA and CFA requirement is clear to everybody.
Understood. Understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood, ma'am. Yes.
So I will not say definitely that when you are doing CFA strictly EFA is no. You can do it in background just to make sure that your all the variables are working fine. Okay, and then very well you go for CFA. So EFA, CFA. Now we go ahead with the statistical part of our. Yeah. So EFA, as I told you, explores the underlying dimensions that could have caused correlation among the observed variable. Deals with theory building and factor analysis. Generally means EFA. Okay, confirmatory factor analysis. Test whether the correlation among the observed variables are consistent with the hypothesized factor structure and deals with theory testing. So basically you are doing literature review, collecting data and validating whether your collected data is matching the theoretical building or not. Okay. Extraction, how do we do? So this you will learn when we are actually running the analysis. Basically, it is like principal component analysis method, principal access factoring, and most of the time we are only using PCA, that is principal component analysis, used simply to reduce the number of variables, and PA used if the study is designed based on a theoretical consideration. PAF is used very rarely, 99% we are using PCA only. PCA is nothing but from each group you are giving them liberty and you are telling them to choose the leader of your group. So whosoever is dominant, whosoever is showing leadership quality, that one person will be the leader of the group. Getting it? So PCA means who all are showing leadership qualities. In 80 people, let us say 13 people are showing leadership qualities. So these 13 people cannot be together. These 13 will form 13 groups. Remaining 67 people will be there with them. They will follow these 13 people. So these 13 will be leaders. How we will come to know about these 13 leaders? Using principal component analysis. Is it clear?
So, ma'am, the 13 variables or 13 factors which are derived after the EFA analysis, those are principal components, you mean to say?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and principal access factoring is different.
Yeah, principal access factoring is basically when you are doing the theoretical consideration. It will not show much about your statistical analysis or alpha factoring. So most of the time your factor analysis is done from principal component analysis only, PCA.
Okay.
So next is factor loading. So as I was telling you that health check. Okay. So this is one common test that even if you're not going for EFA, we can run it. So factor loading are similar to correlation coefficient between the factors and the variable. The higher the factor loading, the more likely it is the factor unrealize that variable. Factor loading helps in identifying which variables are associated with the particular factor. So it is a kind of interest level which they show. Okay, so if they are showing the interest level more than 0.7, which means they are highly interested, which means their health is good, they are worth keeping in your study. If their health is between 0.5 to 0.7, you can consider them or drop them, depending on the number of variables in your study. If it is below 0.5, then you need to see, can you afford them? If it is below 0.3, strictly you should not take them. If you take them, they will trouble you later. So you have to come back and you have to drop them. So factor loading, basically it is a kind of correlation coefficient. Okay, how interested that variable is with the factor. As I told you, out of 80 variables, 13 are showing leadership quality. Remaining 67 are following these 13 people. So they are forming 13 groups. So among these 67 people, they should show some kind of interest towards any of these 13 leaders. If they are not interested at all, you have to drop them. because neither they are worth becoming a leader nor they are worth becoming a follower. Okay, so you cannot keep them in your study, so you have to drop them. Rotation. So rotation is basically nothing but the iteration. Okay, rotation gives you the accurate solution. Rotation happens in background when we are doing the SPSS analysis. You will not be able to see it. Okay, so unrotated factor loadings are extremely hard to interpret regardless the extraction method. Rotation helps in arriving at a simpler pattern of factor loading by maximizing high correlations and minimizing low ones. Okay. Orthogonal rotation should be used under the assumption that the underlying factors are uncorrelated with each other. And types in SPSS, we have Verimax, which is the most commonly used. Other than that, we have Quantimax, Equimax, Oblique, but we only use Verimax. So in component analysis, we use principal component analysis. In rotation, we use Verimax. Okay, should be used under the assumption that the underlying factors are correlated with each other. Which means that whatever variables you are taking for a study, they like each other. Okay.
Madam,
And
can you please explain rotation once more?
yeah, rotation is see rotation basically whenever you are getting your factor analysis, it comes in the form of a matrix. Okay. So what happens that whatever solution you are getting for correlation, you remember how the table of correlation comes. Okay. So this correlation table will be given to you, and it will be running rotation on that. Rotation in the set iterations will happen on that to make it simplified. So whichever is showing a correlation with each other, that will be highlighted using this rotation.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how it is. So if you use unrotated, it is like a refinement of your data. Okay. Simply if I tell you that the unrotated one is a raw format.
Okay.
So the SPSS just do some polishing work on it and will present you in the most appropriate format if you apply rotation on that.
Okay, for classification purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So factored analysis works basically more or less on the correlation concept. Okay, whosoever is showing correlation with each other will form one group.
Okay.
That's how it. There is nothing rocket science in factor.
Okay.
Yeah. So now sorry. So then comes communalities. Communalities gives the variance accounted for a particular variable by all factors. Mathematically, it is the sum of squared loadings for a variable across all the factors. The higher the value of communality for a particular variable after extraction, higher is its amount of variance explained by the extracted factor. It is nothing but variance is basically the information which you are explaining. The variable, how much information it is explaining in your study. Okay, so if higher the value, which means it is explaining more information. If lower is the value, which means it is not explaining any information, which means it is not worth to keep it in your study. Okay. And then comes eigenvalue in scree plot. So used to decide the number of underlying factors after extraction of eigenvalue. So it is a measure of amount of total variance in the data explained by a factor. So eigenvalue less than 1 means that the factor explains less variables than a single variable. So basically, eigenvalue is the eligibility criteria to become a leader in the factor analysis. If your eigenvalue is more than 1, you become a factor. If your eigenvalue is less than 1, you just become a variable associated with a factor. Am I getting clear about it? Okay. So eigenvalue straight away gives you the status of becoming a factor. If your eigenvalue is more than 1, you become a factor. If your eigenvalue is less than 1, you just remain a variable. You have to follow a factor. Correct? Scree plot. It is a graphical representation of eigenvalues of all the factors initially considered for extraction. So how many factors you have been extracted, those many will be clearly visible on your screen plot. Any questions so far?
Hello,
Yeah.
ma'am. What is the basic difference between factor and variable?
Factor and variable. See, as I told you that factor becomes the leader in that group. Okay, so all these
Okay.
variables need to follow him.
Okay.
Still, it is a variable, but it becomes leader.
Okay. And the remaining would be considered
Yes.
as a variable.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Hello.
yes.
Hello, ma'am. Then how we will know about this is a factor, this is variable?
Yeah.
How we will know?
When we run the data sheet, that time I will show you all these terms.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Okay,
Just
ma'am.
keep in
Thank you.
mind a few things. Necessary, you can that time if still not clear, you can ask me it again. Fine.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So far we have covered about PCA, about Verimix rotation, about communalities, about eigenvalue and scree plot. Okay. So then comes scale reliability. Okay.
Ma'am, in
This is very
rotation also there are several types, no?
yeah, we are only using Verimix.
Okay.
Okay,
Always.
that is the most appropriate one. It is a Verimix. It's the best.
Acha. Any chance of using other things, other
No,
methods?
we do
also?
not use. No.
Okay. So it is good enough. Very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So then comes scale reliability. So after identifying the dimensions underlying a factor, the researcher may prepare a scale of those dimensions to measure the factors. Such a scale has to be tested for validity and reliability. Proper validity and reliability testing can be done using confirmatory factor analysis. However, researchers commonly use the Cronbach alpha coefficient for establishing scale reliability. The Cronbach alpha coefficient is an indicator of internal consistency of the scale. A high value of Cronbach alpha coefficient suggests that the items that make up the scale hang together and measure the same underlying construct. A value of Cronbach alpha above 0.7 can be used as a reasonable test of scale reliability. So there are two things now, okay, to check the reliability of your data. Fine. So one is so one is you check the factor loading. Okay, the factor loading of each variable is coming more than 0.7 or not. If it is coming, that is sufficient. If you don't want to check the reliability using factor loading, you can go with Cronbach alpha also. Cronbach alpha, you just go for scale reliability analysis, and if each variable is showing more than 0.7, in that case you can rely on that variable. It is worth keeping. So what happens that reliability check using Cronbach alpha is very initial level check. Does not mean that if a variable is showing reliability of more than 0.7 will also be correct in terms of correlation and factor analysis. It might not work that time. So it is always better that always you are checking the reliability using Cronbach alpha, and then you should also go and check about their factor loadings. If both are coming 0.7, 90% chances are there this variable will not create any problem for you in future. It will work perfectly. But what happens that if variable reliability Cronbach alpha is coming more than 0.7, but in correlation it is showing weak, so that variable will create a problem for you. In that case, you have to decide whether you can afford it or not, because your final result matters a lot. Finally, let us say you need to reach on regression, and if the variable is showing very weak correlation, how will you achieve regression? Isn't it? So you need to decide that can you afford weak regression? Yes or no? No, in that case, you need to drop it then and there. So it becomes also it depends on the objective of your study. It is a chain of events. You are starting from factor analysis, then you're going for correlation, then you're going for regression. So till the time you reach regression, this variable should be alive. It should not die in between. When it will not die, when it is showing you strong correlation, more than 0.7, okay, or reliability of more than 0.8, or correlation of more than 0.6. In that case, high chances are there it will survive till regression. But in the beginning only, if it is showing you reliability of 0.2, 0.3, factor loading of 0.3, 0.4, in that case, it will not reach till a regression state. So what will happen? Your entire model, it will spoil. So again, you have to come back to the initial stage. Again, you have to drop it. Again, you need to do the factor analysis. Again, you have to go for correlation. And again, you have to check the regression value. That is how it is. Are you
Hello,
getting it?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, when we are doing the reliability scale analysis using Cronbach alpha, so
Yeah.
we are using it in SPSS. But
Yes.
can we check the validity using SPSS?
No. See, SPSS, you can choose validity using different methods. Like you can check concurrent validity. Okay. How do you check concurrent validity? When you go, you are using two different questionnaires. One is already established, and one your own questionnaire. If you want to match it, just run a correlation, and then you can check the concurrent validity. If you want to go for convergent validity, in that case, you need to have correlation values of each variable and all. So accordingly, you check it. Getting it? So straight away, you cannot check the validity, but you can check reliability.
Also, in case of EFA, when we are doing it using SPSS,
Yeah,
so
that we can do
it is
straight
not
away.
direct way to check the validity.
No, we can
Or,
do.
okay, ma'am, will you show it?
Yeah, that I will show.
Okay.
Okay. Are we clear till here? I will show all that, and I will give you homework also, so that you will work on the actual data also. Okay. So now coming back to
Ma'am, I have one question. Like,
yeah,
ma'am,
tell me.
if we prepare a questionnaire based on yes or no basis only, if we don't use the Likert scale in our questionnaire, can we check
Yeah.
the reliability and validity of the questionnaire?
You
Is it
can still check
possible?
the reliability, but it will not be useful for your factor analysis.
Okay. For that, we have to use the Likert scale.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So okay, so I have told you about scale reliability. I will also run it and show you how it looks. And then comes basic concept about sample size. So if you are taking it less than 100, it's not very suitable for conducting factor analysis. If you are taking more than 500, high chances are there you will get very good result. And if it is between 200 or 300, it is adequate sample size. You can still go ahead with it. So this is the sample size consideration. These are all thumb rules which you can use. Okay, and if you want to go with thumb rule, they say that for each question you should have at least 7 to 10 responses. So let us say if you are having 10 questions in your study, you should have 100 responses. If you are having 15 questions in your study, you should have between 110 to 150 questions responses in between. So like that the calculation goes. Okay, so this is the data sheet which we will be running. Credibility of celebrities. So how do we run it? We click on analyze and then dimension reduction. There you will see factor analysis. Once you click on factor analysis, you need to take all the variables on which you want to run the test, and then you need to check which method you want to use. So we need to use principal component analysis here. And if you want to see a scree plot, you can click on it based on eigenvalue, or you want to know fixed number of factors. Most of the time we use based on eigenvalues. We do not go for fixed number of factors. In which case we go, that also I will tell you while running it. You want to see correlation matrix. You can see that in descriptives, extraction, rotation, scores, options. So in rotation, we choose Verimax. And this all comes automatically sorted by size, suppress a small coefficient. That all I will tell you what it means. So this comes as a communalities. So here you will see the values are coming. Okay, initial and extraction. So this all I will run and then I will be telling you how it happens. This is another table. All these tables we generate now on the same data sheet. This is how a scree plot looks. So whichever variable, totally 14 variables we have here. So whichever variable is having eigenvalue more than 1, it becomes your factor. So factor number 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So 3 factors are there. So basically out of these 14 people, 3 are leaders, 11 are followers. These 11 have to follow either one of the factor. Then only they have all the rights to stay in the study. Otherwise, you have to drop them. Getting it? This is your rotated factor matrix, how it comes. That also I will explain you. So this is how these are the 14 characteristics of a celebrity, which they have divided into 3 factors, and they have renamed them as trustworthiness, expertise, attractiveness. So honestly, trustworthy, reliable, dependable, sincere, expert. To these 6 variables, they have given a common name as trustworthiness. So trustworthiness becomes a factor. There are another 4 variables: expert, qualified, knowledgeable, experienced. They all goes to one factor that is known as expertise, and then another beautiful, attractive, classy, elegant, sexy that goes for another factor that is attractiveness. That is how they have renamed it. Okay, there is no rule for renaming. Whatever you find most appropriate, you can do that. You only have freedom when you are doing it in EFA to name the factors as per your choice. If you are going for CFA, all the factors are already named, so you cannot name them as per your choice. Okay, yeah. Ask me a doubt.
Madam,
Yeah.
there is a variable expert which come to both the factors, trustworthiness and expertise.
So which one is more here?
Trustworthiness.
I'm asking, this expert has 2 values, na? 0.486 and 0.439.
Yes.
So where the value is more, in factor 1 or factor 2?
Factor 1.
So it belongs to factor 1.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Like, okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can I drop the variables in case of these cross loadings? When
No, we do not need to drop it. We just need to take it. See, it is a one thing which is, as I told you, that multipolarity. It is showing friendship with 1 also, 2 also. But with which group it is showing higher friendship?
1.
Group 1. So we have to set it there. If you want, do not, let us say that here you are only getting 2 variables, okay, in factor 2, and this kind of situation arises. In that case, as a researcher, you have full freedom to allot this variable to any of these factors.
So, ma'am, this is the example of multicollinearity.
Yeah. You getting it?
Okay, so that
Almost
means
same case of interest level it is showing in both the groups.
okay.
So, see, as a teacher, I have all the authorities to tell my student, you be in this group, no matter you have friends over there.
Okay.
Because I believe that this group has less number of students. So I instruct this student, no, you don't go to this group, you go to that group, because that group only has 2 people. This
Okay.
group already has 6 people. So you join that group.
Okay.
So as a researcher, I have full authority on these variables.
Okay.
So in this case, I'm happy. Okay, fine. This factor 2 has only 3 variables. Okay, no problem. Let it be.
Okay. Okay.
But if
Understood.
I want to assign this expert variable into group 2, I can do so.
Okay.
Nobody will question me.
Thank you.
Okay. If the difference is very high, let us say here it is 0.2 and here it is 0.9. So of course it will go for factor 1 only. Getting it? let us say a child is there and crying very badly that you change my section, okay, and you don't change that student section. So what happens then? 1 or 2 days the student tells to change my section, we don't do it, and then the child forgets. But entire year the child is crying to change my section, change my section. Ultimately, you have to do it.
Okay.
Because the same thing is here, that let us say that this particular variable is showing 0.9 in group 1 and 0.2 in group 2. But possibly you put this variable into 0.2 wala group. Again and again it will create a problem for you.
Okay.
So don't do that. If the difference is very less, 0.3, 0.4, in that case you can do. And if it is a requirement, let us say that you see that
Okay.
this group 2 is having very less number of variables.
Mhm.
So you want to assign one more variable here. In that case you can do it.
Okay.
But if
Understood.
difference is too high, that time don't do it.
Okay.
Your variable will not like it.
Mhm.
Okay, so if your variable is not happy, it will make you unhappy in the related stage of your data analysis.
Okay.
So we shouldn't do that.
So, ma'am, multicollinearity can happen with one variable also, as well as between two variables also. Am I correct?
Yeah. This is I will show you the complete table and how do we eliminate that also I will show you.
Okay, ma'am.
So
Thank you.
almost each variable, I'm telling almost each variable will show little or more multicollinearity.
Okay.
There will be very few variables which will show you the clear mindset that they belong to this particular variable only.
Okay.
But most of the time you will see that you have to do the comparative analysis. Where do I assign this particular variable? Factor 1 or 2 or 3.
Okay. So wherever there is double-mindedness of the variable, then we have to correct the multicollinearity aspect.
Yes. So so give the preference to where the factor loading is higher.
Huh.
But if you are not happy with that arrangement, you change it.
Okay. Just to balance the other
It is a comparative rational approach.
Right. Thank you.
It's a rational decision of research. Okay, based on circumstances, because every time you will not get same circumstances. So this one is clear. Okay. So now we go for our data analysis. So this sheet is visible to everybody? Data sheet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so first I'll explain you. Those who do not know about SPSS, to them also little bit I'll explain you. So in SPSS, we basically, I'll start from this side. So role, it comes automatically, input, scale, and if I click here, you will see 3 options: scale, ordinal, nominal. So from SPSS point of view, you only have 3 types of variables, either scale, or ordinal, or nominal. What it is, this aspect I'm explaining because there are few people who are new to SPSS. Okay, so for their reference, I'm just explaining it. So what happens here in that case? Scale, ordinal, and nominal. Nominal associated with name. Ordinal associated with order. Scale associated with values. If I ask you your age, okay, there are 2 ways you want to tell me your age. One, you can tell me the absolute number of your age. I'm 20-year-old, I'm 40-year-old, I'm 60-year-old. Another way, you can tell me my age is between 30 to 50. My age is between 0 to 30. My age is above 50. Getting it? So if I'm telling my age is this number, that time I'm using scale. If I'm telling my age is between this age group, okay, so that time what happens that I'm giving you 4 options. Choose one option. Your age is 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 and above. In that case, you are choosing one group. But what happens in that case, I can provide an order to these groups. Getting it? 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 and above. So in that case, I'm able to provide an order to these variables or to these groups. When you are able to provide the order, you call it as an ordinal variable. Okay. Next comes nominal. I gave you 6 options. What is a religion? Okay. Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, or anything else is that. So you choose one option from that category. Can you provide an order to that? Tell me quickly.
No, these
No,
are
ma'am.
discrete values.
You cannot provide an order to it. In that case, I call it as nominal variable. So from SPC's perspective, only I'm telling you. Other than that, you have a lot of category of variables. So quickly, I'm just telling you from the perspective of data sheet. 3 types. You have scale, ordinal, and nominal. Scale means when you're capturing absolute number. What is your weight? What is your height? What is your age? Okay. How much you earn? All that. So absolute number when you're giving me, it is scale variable. When you're giving me in a range that I can arrange in an order, I call it as ordinal variable. Again, when you tell me a name, okay, which I cannot give a order, that is nominal variable. It is clear to everybody?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, when we are taking the ages in the range, but we can take it as a continuous variable and select it as a scale.
Yes. So it again depends on the requirement of my study, whether I need ordinal variable or I need a scale variable.
Oh, okay, ma'am. And another question, ma'am, factor analysis, the Likert scale questionnaires, will I run it in ordinal or interval scale? Means scale variable.
Ordinal.
We can't run it in a interval.
Likert scale is always a ordinal scale.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, let us say giving them 5 options. Can't say agree, strongly agree, and this side disagree, strongly disagree. So you are ranging it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're providing an order to it?
Yes.
So it is ordinal scale. Clear it is? So factor analysis is always for ordinal scale. Can we go ahead now? So quickly I'll just run the analysis. Yeah. So you will see there are 2 views, variable view, data view. So here we have captured ID of a celebrity and their characteristics. So we have taken here 14 characteristics of celebrity. Okay, starting from attractive, classy, beautiful, elegant, sexy, dependable, honest, reliable, trustworthy, sincere, expert, experienced, knowledgeable, qualified. Okay, and type numeric with anything you can give. Decimal I do not need here. If you want to give more explanation, you can write here in the label part. Values already it has been taken, so I do not need to define it, and all this comes automatically. So here you see ordinal. Every time it is coming as ordinal. All the 14 variables are ordinal type. And if I go for data view, so each item respondents have given their response. So from 1 to 5, they have given their opinion based on each characteristic. How celebrity, what is the important characteristics in a celebrity? Okay, so accordingly they have given their viewpoint. So something that it should be dependable, honest, and reliable, trustworthy, sincere. Okay, and they have given lesser point for elegant and sexy. So here you see, so each respondent has given their viewpoint. Okay, so accordingly we have taken here responses. So totally 56 responses are there. Yeah. So this is how our data sheet looks. Okay, now how do we run factor analysis? So I'm just going here. So you click on analyze. There you go for dimension reduction. Then you go for factor. Click on factor. Again, I repeat, go to analyze, then dimension reduction, then factor. So all the variables where you want to run factor analysis, not on every single data sheet you are going to run it. So all the variables which are of ordinal category, which are defining a celebrity, I take them as a variable. So all the 14 variables I have taken here. Then I start selecting descriptor. Initial solution I want. Then this is KMO and Bartley's test sparsity. This test is conducted to tell me whether my data is fit for factor analysis or not. Okay. So only this much I select here. Then I go for extraction. As I told you, we have various methods here. Okay, but we only use principal components here. Correlation matrix will come automatically. If you want see a scree plot, click here. Based on eigenvalue. So you want to extract factors automatically based on eigenvalues, or you want to give a fixed number of factors. Fixed number of factors generally we do not give. Unless you want to manipulate your data for CFA purpose or something like that, you have some requirements that only these many factors I need from the data. That time only you need to give it. Otherwise, we only extract the factors based on eigenvalues. Okay, so this is as I told you that if eigenvalue is more than 1, that means it is a factor. So accordingly we do it. Maximum iterations for convergence 25, it comes automatically. So these many iterations will happen on your data, and then finished product you will get. Okay, this is clear?
Madam?
Yeah.
Maximum iterations for convergence is 25. Why it is 25?
See, it comes automatically. If you want to change it, you can change it. If you want to make it 4 or 10 or 25, you can make it.
Madam, what is the meaning of this basically? Maximum iterations for convergence?
See, these many times approximation will happen in your data in background.
Okay, okay.
So finished one will come, the polishing, if I say in simple meaning.
Okay. So as a social researcher, 25 is okay, ma'am?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I'm just leaving it as it is. Then comes rotation. So we discussed about rotation as Verimix. So I want rotation solution. Loading plots is not required. Again, 25 it is coming. Okay, if you want to click on this, it will tell you. So continue. Extraction PCA, then rotation Verimix. Scores, we don't need to do anything here. Okay. Okay, now comes these two things: coefficient display format, sorted by size, suppress a small coefficient. Okay. In the beginning, I'm not doing anything. I will show you. Again, I will run it, and that time I will show you what it is. Okay. So I'll just continue it, and I will do OK. So the output window will come now. It is coming. output it is generating. So one by one, each table I will explain you. If you want to make a note of it, you can make it. So this is the first table, factor analysis. So KMO and Bartlett test. As I told you that this table tells you whether the data is appropriate or not for factor analysis. So the value of sample adequacy should be more than 0.5. If it is more than 0.7, it is very good. So here we are getting the value of 0.780, which means the data is purely appropriate to conduct factor analysis, and significance value should be always less than 0.05, which is also coming. So this KMO and Bartlett test tells us that our data is completely appropriate to run factor analysis. Then comes communalities. Okay. So here, this table generally we do not need to take into analysis. You just can have a look here. So you will see initial solution is given and then extraction values are given. These are just the correlation values. Okay, but we do not do anything much here. We just discard this table. We don't take into our analysis. This is the most important table for us. Total variance explained. It has a simple meaning. How much information you are explaining using the variables taken in your study. So let us say here in this study, you are defining characteristics of a celebrity. So you see this total value. Total value is 70.591. It means that this study explains 70.591% of information about characteristics of celebrities. Remaining 29.5% it could not explain, which is okay. So ideally, this percentage should be more than 50%. Any study, if you are conducting, the factor analysis you are conducting, it means that the factors which you are considering to conduct a particular study, it is explaining more than 50% of information. Remaining 50% from where it is coming, you do not know. So in this case, whatever characteristics you have taken are able to explain 70% of characteristics of a celebrity. Remaining 29.5% we could not capture using our variables, which is acceptable.
Ma'am, can I ask a questions? So this 20.20 balance approximately 29.5% of the variables. That means those variables are different from these 14 variables.
Yeah, we see somehow whatever has happened, maybe due to our respondents, maybe due to lack of questions, maybe due to lack of our information loss, whatever has happened, this much information we have failed to capture.
Okay.
It can be due to any reason.
So 70% of the solution is explained by these 14 variables which we selected initially, and which are now going to be classified into 3 groups.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Getting it?
Thank you.
So basically in this exam, my variables are getting 70% score. Remaining 30% from where celebrity characteristics are defining, I have no clue about it.
Okay.
So for this much, as a researcher, I am exempted. They will consider my research. But let us say value comes to 20%, 30%, which means that only 30% I'm explaining, 70% I do not have any clue from where it is coming, which is not acceptable.
But ma'am, what about this eigenvalues cumulative? It is showing 100% at the row of 14th. So what is the meaning of that?
This one, no, that is something else that I will again explain you. That is something else. So what is happening here is basically what I'm trying to say here is that the factors which you have taken in this study, how many factors we have now? 3 factors.
Okay.
So these 3 factors together are explaining this much information.
Okay, madam. So that is explained by extraction sum of squared loadings.
That is why these are readers.
Okay.
As I told you now in the beginning, you have total 14 people with you. These 3 are showing eigenvalue more than 1. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 3 leaders.
Okay.
Other 11 people are followers.
Okay.
Okay. These 11 people have to follow one among these 3 leaders. Then only they can stay in the study. How they will show? They have to show the correlation with any of these factors. Then they can stay in the study. If they show very weak correlation with all the 3 factors, in that case we have to drop them. They can't go ahead because neither they are a factor nor they are following that factor. Is it clear?
Okay.
So these 3 factors together are explaining 70.591% of information. These are the correct leaders. In among these 3, if you see, first one explaining 41%, second one explaining 17%, third one explaining 12%. So this is our most important thing.
Ma'am, can we also say like that top 3 variables account for
Yes.
70.5,
Yes.
70% of the solution predictability, and
Yeah.
balance 11 variables, they explain remaining 30%.
Yeah, that is only. Yeah. So if you see individually, so first variable is explaining 41.01, then second one 17.12, third one 12.45, so like that. If you go for 14th variable, it explains only 0.337% of information.
Which is very less. Okay.
Getting it?
So based on eigenvalues, we are classifying the leaders.
Yes.
Which are to be termed as factors, and
Yes.
later on we have to group them.
Yes. So eligibility criteria, as I told you, to become a leader, eigenvalue should be more than 1.
More than 1. Okay, ma'am.
So who are having more than 1 value, they are leaders. They are factors.
So this is the process of reduction in the number of variables.
Yeah. The side effect of it, these 3 cannot be in one group because they are leaders.
Okay.
As they say that in one forest, only one lion can exist. So now these 3 are your lions. They will exist in different forests.
Okay.
Fine, because they have shown the most of the leadership capability. So now these 3 you cannot club them.
Okay, ma'am.
So other 11 people, you have to classify them into these 3 groups.
Okay. Based on
You
their
are not dropping
based on their
all
allegiance.
14 are going. Yeah.
Okay.
Now how much correlation they show, that also we'll see in the next step.
Okay,
This much is clear to everybody? Okay. So now comes our scree plot. As I told you, it is just a graphical representation what you have seen in above table. You see all the 14 variables are given, eigenvalues are given. So wherever you have more than 1 eigenvalue, so for first variable you have more than 5, for second you have more than 2, for third we have more than 1, and fourth onwards you are having less than 1 or close to 1. Okay, so these 3 are first 1, 2, 3 are your leaders or factors or principal components. This much is clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then comes our component matrix. We do not need to look into it because we have rotated component matrix which gives us the better view. So we go for that. Yeah. Now, so here we have not suppressed anything. It is a clear value. Okay. Now you see one by one. Attractive. Where you see the highest value?
In third column.
Okay. These values, what are these values? These values are your correlation values. Okay. How much correlation they show with the factor. So this is factor 1, this is factor 2, but this is factor 3. So attractive, it shows the highest correlation with factor 3. So where it should belong?
3, factor 3, leader 3.
Classy has 0.389, 0.109, 0.590. So where it should belong?
Third.
Third one. Similarly for beautiful.
Third.
So in these cases, like you see in beautiful, clearly it is telling you where it belongs. There is no ambiguity. Getting it?
Correct.
There is no ambiguity. So if you see first case, you see second case, you see third case, you see fourth one, fifth one, sixth, sixth में you see dependable, where it belongs?
In case of, I think, expert and expert level, I think there seems to be some kind of collinearity.
Yeah. So in here, see, you will see the interest level is here. Interest level is for factor 1 also, 2 also, 3 also. But the highest interest level is for factor 1. So clearly it tells you where it belongs. Similarly for honest, similarly for reliable, for trustworthy, for sincere.
Here, at expert level,
Yeah. So here if you see that, so you can take a call. If you don't want to assign it to factor 1, factor 2 is also okay. It will not create much problem for you, depending on the requirement. Let us say factor 2 only has one variable. So in that case, you can assign it to factor 2. No problem.
But factor 2 is containing more than 2. So we can retain expert in factor 1.
Yeah. Okay. So likewise, you decide for each factor, whom belong to whom. Now, imagine you have 80 variables like that. So will your eyes pain doing this manually or not? Yes?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So here you see. So this is what we do not need much. So now what happens that this is the table. So there is another approach if I want to reduce my work. What I want is that I do not want anybody who is having less than 0.5 value or less than 0.7 letters. What value you want? Right now you know. Okay. So if you see that okay. In that case, what happens? So what will happen here that if I don't want to do it manually, I have another approach. I will just show you that. I will go again here, analyze, dimension reduction. Everything is already set, so I don't need to do it. Extraction also remains same. Rotation also remains same. Core also remains same. Option. Here you see, suppress a small coefficients. Now, if I do not want anybody who is less than 0.4, it will not be visible to me later. So now I have put it value 0.4. So let us see how our result works. Generating result now. Yeah. Now you see the rotated component matrix, how it is. So whatever was less than 0.4, it is not visible to me. It's already disappeared. So now my job becomes easier. What I was doing manually, comparing and all. So now I don't need to do it. So straight away, first 5 variables going for factor 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going for factor 1. And here I can decide whether I want to assign it to factor 1 or 2. So I can do it for factor 1 only, no problem. And then remaining 3 goes for factor 2. Clear it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Like that I can do.
Madam?
Yeah.
Why you choose 0.4? There?
See, as I told you, the health of the variable. Okay. Ideally, I want everybody more than 0.5.
Okay.
I do not want anybody less than 0.5 because these values are the correlation values. So higher they are showing, that means they are strong variables. If they are showing 0.2, 0.3, that means they will not help me in future. They will create problem for me.
Okay.
As I told you, ideal value is more than 0.7. But between 0.5, 0.7 also I can consider. And in the worst case, if I have to, I do not have any option. I might need to consider more than 0.35 or more than 0.4 also.
Ma'am, after getting this table, we have to name the factors. Like
yes.
For 3 column, we have to give the name, particular name like trustworthiness or attractiveness.
Yeah.
Okay, firstly, we have to find out this table, then we will given the name.
So now you know that which variable belong to which factor, correct? So now these 5 statements belong to factor 3. Now you need to name factor 3.
Okay.
So attractive, classy, beautiful, elegant, sexy. You find a common name now, which you can call as a factor.
Ma'am, now we have expert indicator variable in which there is a cross loading. So
Yeah.
can't we delete that variable and rerun the process?
You will delete the variable and redone the process. If you want to lose this variable, you can lose. Okay, as a researcher, you have complete authority over this variable. If you want to drop it here, you can drop it. But why you want to drop?
Because everywhere in all other cases, I can see correlation above 0.770
Yeah, that's what I'm
or
telling
something.
you. So my
Yeah.
suggestion is that if I was in your place, I will take it. Then later I
Okay.
will see if it creates problem for me. I will come back and then I will delete it.
Okay, ma'am.
See
Thank you
what
so much.
happens that in the advanced stage, it might happen that few more variables trouble me.
Okay.
So
Correct.
unless I have a strong reason to drop a variable, I should not do it.
Okay. So in case if there is a loading, we have to decide either we need to take in factor 1, 2, or 3, but
Yeah.
we should not delete the
See,
variable
definitely it is
completely.
not going for factor 3. It is either going to factor 1
Yeah, yeah.
or
No,
2.
now, no, ma'am. I'm just asking a case in which we have a
Yeah.
cross loading in all the three factors. So in
Yeah.
that case, it is in our end, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, in which there will be more correlation, we will take in that particular factor, right?
See, when you are taking it for the highest one, then there will be no problem. Let us say now this 5.5 to 2.
Okay, ma'am. Understood. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, ma'am.
But if you take it for the lesser one, then only problem arises. Why you
Yeah.
are taking for lesser one? Because you do not have any option. Let us say the
Oh,
factor 3 only has one variable.
yeah.
And this is the
Understood.
only option you have to assign one more variable. Because you are
Yeah.
stuck in that situation.
Okay. And ma'am, one more question. Do we have any criteria like there should be more than three indicator variables in one particular factor or something like
Yeah,
that?
I think 2 to 3 should be there.
Okay.
Because if only one is there, that means it's not a factor. It's a variable only, na?
Yeah, correct. Understood.
That is the worst case. When you do not have, you are completely helpless, then only you should do it.
Okay. Understood,
A,
ma'am.
a leader should have follower, na?
Yeah. Otherwise, what leader it is?
Correct.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's all. Any other question? So this is what I have explained to you. Now one more sheet I have. I'll just read it for your reference. So here we have not mentioned anything. These are just simply questions. Okay. So basically you have taken 5 questions. How it looks as a raw format I'm just showing you. You are taking 25 questions which are based on Likert scale. So how the Likert scale is being given? It's the 7-point Likert scale. Okay. 1 for strongly agree, 2 for agree, 3 for somewhat agree, undecided, disagree, somewhat disagree, and so strongly disagree. Like that, I have captured the responses and then everything is ordinal. This is the structure of a factor analysis questionnaire basically. This is how your questionnaire should look. Question and then Likert point scale, 5-point or 7-point or 9-point, whichever you prefer. Mostly it is 5-point. And then you just go for, you collect the data, how your data looks. So this is how your data looks. Okay, for each question, a respondent has responded with their preference, what they want. And then you have collected the data. Okay. So then you, once you have entered the data in SPSS or in Excel, whatever you want, then you go for analyze, then you go for dimension reduction, you go for factor. There you will take all the 25 questions which are ordinal. Then you go for descriptives, as I told you, initial solution and KMO. Then you go for extraction, that is principal components based on eigenvalue 1, and discrete plot also we want. Then we go for rotation. Then we go for Verimax. And then we go for scores. There we don't need to do anything. Options, if you want to suppress that, we can see later. In the beginning also we want to do, I'll do it less than 0.4. I click on OK.
Madam, in options there was a choice of sorted by size. What is the meaning of that?
Sorted by size if you want, like if you want to just put the ascending or descending order.
Okay, madam.
So
Okay, so
KMO test has come. The value is 0.833, which is pretty good. Significance value is 0.000. Communality, we just see and leave it. We don't need to do anything about it. Total variance, we come and then we analyze it. So if you see total variance 64.14, which is fine. Totally, how many factors we have? We have five factors. 25 variables we had. So 5 are showing eigenvalue more than 1. So these are 5 factors we have. And this is how they are explaining the variance. So these 5 factors are explaining 64.145% of information. Okay. Then this is comes as 3 plot. So again, you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are showing more than 1. And then 6 onwards, it is lesser than 1. It is a component matrix. If you don't look, we look for related component matrix. This is how it is because I've suppressed less than 0.4. So few variables, few are not variable, visible. So this is how it is coming as clear cut now. So if you see on component 1, how many variables are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For 4th, we have 4. And for 5th, we only have 2. See, now here you are. So this one, you have 0.514 and 0.580. So even if it was reverse, the question number 7, we allot to factor number 5 only. Because it has only 2 variables. So I at least need 2 variables for my factor 5. So this question number 7, I have to keep for factor 5 only, even if it is having lesser loading than this. This is my limitation.
Okay, so ma'am, you mean to say, had it been in case of factor number 2, instead of 0.514, had it been 0.628, for example, then we could have gone for 0.588 option for factor number 5 to make him a leader.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we wanted at least 2 should be there.
Okay, ma'am.
That is. This is how our rotated component matrix, and then again you can name them. Whatever is the question, based on the question you read the statement. Based on that, you can just rename that. Getting it? So now I'll just stop sharing the screen. Any doubts if you have, you can ask me.
If KMO value is less than 0.7.
What? Your voice was not clear.
In any data analysis reduction factor analysis, if KMO value is less than 0.7.
KMO value is less than 0.7, okay?
Then we should not proceed for factor analysis.
Mostly it should be more than 0.5. If it is less than 0.5, then we see how it is responding. So you run the analysis and then you see all the values. Don't just decide based on KMO value.
Suppose in my analysis I have seen that KMO value is 0.4, around 0.4, and the cumulative percentage is around 70%.
Yeah,
and there
in
are
that case you will take.
And there are 4 factors, eigenvalue are more than 1.
Yeah.
And one more question, ma'am. What is the use of rotated component matrix? I am not getting that one.
See, as I told you that it is just, if I tell you, see, when you are running the correlation matrix, getting it. So in background, what happens that it will run the iterations. Okay, matrix in the format of matrix. So it will try to correlate with each and every variable. So again and again it runs the same analysis.
In this case, analysis, I have seen there are component 1, component 2, component 3, 4, 5. In
Yep.
suppose in component 1 there are 8 factors, in 2, 7, 6,
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
Then what is the use of that one?
Didn't get you, sir. Please repeat your question.
In component matrix,
Hmm.
in component 1, component 2, component 3, there are different number of factors correlation that are more than 0.5 or 0.4.
Factors, number of factors more than 0.5, 0.4. Huh?
We have selected coefficient value 0.4, more than 0.4, suppose. And in component
Yeah.
1,
Huh.
there are eight variables. In component
Huh.
2, there are 6 variables.
Huh. Correct.
And in different column, there are different number of variables.
Okay.
Then what we want to say about seeing these things?
See, those are correlation values, which means that let us say factor 1 may you have first variable. So first variable is showing 0.7 correlation with factor 1, 0.3 correlation with factor 2, and 0.0 correlation with factor 3. So in that case, this particular variable belongs to which factor? That's what I'm trying to say. So with the factor, it is showing the highest correlation. To that factor, this variable belongs to. Is it clear, sir?
No, ma'am. Please, with an example, I will want to.
Wait, I'll just share it again. The output window. Is it visible? See, these values are correlation values basically. If I don't suppress it, how it looks, I'll just show you. That time I think you'll understand better. So if I don't suppress it, so here if I don't suppress it, all the values will come to me as it is. So in that case, my solution looks like this. Yeah. So here you see now this rotated component matrix. See, all the values are coming. Now you need to see question 1. It is showing correlation of minus 0.004 with factor 1, 0.089 with 2, minus 0.017 correlation with 3, 0.799 correlation with 4, and 0.058 correlation with 5. Which means that question 1 belongs to which factor? Tell me.
4.
Question belongs to which factor?
4.
Understood, sir? If I ask you that these are the 5 leaders, with which leader you want to go? So this is how you are showing your inclination. So your highest inclination is towards leader 4.
Okay.
Is it clear, sir?
Yes.
Similarly, for question 2, where are you showing highest inclination? Towards factor 1?
Yeah.
If you see for question number 6, with which factor you are showing the highest inclination?
2.
2. Understood?
Yeah.
It is like that.
That means these questionnaires are followers or follow,
Yeah.
follow and the leaders are 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yes.
5, 5.
Yes. Yes.
That means the lead followers are very much correlated with which factor?
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, it will depend on us that how many leaders we choose. Like
Yes.
we choose 3, we choose 4.
Yeah, accordingly it will come. You have fixed number of leaders. It's an eigenvalue that has come now.
Okay. things like that.
Ma'am, whether we have to check for any assumption before running the factor analysis?
KMO Bartlett test, as I told you, and if you want to also check reliability analysis, also you can do. But EFA itself is a test. So if it fails, then you can go back and you can correct.
So before running the factor analysis, first we have to check the Cronbach alpha, means the
Yes,
reliability test.
Yes. There are few things like you should check Cronbach alpha. You should also check a correlation check among all the variables.
Okay, and should I report it, ma'am? Should I report it?
No.
Okay.
Your guide might tell you during pilot study of data that you just run it once for your own satisfaction, that it is working fine.
Ma'am, you mean to say before running the data in SPSS, we should check separately for Cronbach alpha test?
Better.
And,
that is the initial stage of analysis.
And what else, ma'am, apart from reliability analysis? Correlation. And it should be 0.5 between each and every variable.
No, there should be some correlation among all the variables. If it is 0.2 or 0.3, but there should be little bit correlation among all the variables.
You mean to say positive or negative?
Anything.
Okay. It should not
They
be
should
zero.
be related. They should be related. This.
Ma'am, suppose if there is some negative correlation between two variables, then we should drop that or we should keep?
No. At correlation stage, at reliability stage, do not drop anybody.
Okay.
After EFA, you decide.
So
together.
So correlation can be negative correlation as well as positive. So we have to keep in mind only absolute values.
Yeah. That time you just to see that how it is working. Just have a thorough check of it.
But
Don't drop anybody there.
I think correlation of 0 will be rarely. Am I correct?
No. See, if there is correlation, that means it will be flagged there. Some star value will come there. That means it's a related thing.
Okay. Suppose anything about 0, that means there is some correlation.
Yeah.
So is there any threshold value that?
See, basically, if I tell you that 80 people you are taking for a trip, verbally you are asking them.
Yes,
first thing, reliability. You ask them whether you want to go for it. Are you medically fit? They say yes, I want to go.
Okay, ma'am.
But is it the only criteria for which they should go? No.
Okay.
That's just a thorough check you have done. Second thing, you are telling them, do you people are 80 people, you should stay always together. Do you like each other? They say yes, we like each other.
Okay, ma'am.
Again, it is the initial check. Then now they are telling you yes that we like each other. That does not mean that they like each other.
Okay.
How you will come to know that? You will come to know in the final stage of regression and correlation.
Yes, ma'am.
Till that time, whatever is happening, it is just all a temporary stage.
Okay. A preparatory stage, you can say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting it. So cumulative decision happens. So then you come back and then you see that in reliability what this variable said, in EFA what this variable said, in correlation what this variable said. Together you take a decision whether you want to drop it or you want to take it forward.
Okay. So after collection of data, so if we want to correlate between different questions, so we have to calculate the. So there will be some correlation matrix you can we have to see.
Yes, simple correlation just around and then see how it is behaving.
Okay, ma'am. But do we need to still consider some threshold value of correlation like 0.1 or 0.2?
Don't take a decision based on that. If at all you do not see any significant correlations among all the members, that time only you just be a little bit worried. But don't take any decision based on that stage.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
I think you can take some example tomorrow. How to see, how to judge whether correlation is sufficient or not. If that would be fine.
We can do. If anybody of all of you, if anyone has the data sheet which you want me to run here, you can send it to me. So that also we can do. Okay. So that's how it is.
It was nice session, ma'am. Very eye-opening for me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the today's sessions. We would all be connecting tomorrow on the same time for the second day of our workshop.
Sure.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Can you share the data file for practice purpose? Is
Yeah,
it possible?
that I will share. Yeah, that I will share.
Okay, that's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Thank you, Shivangi, ma'am.
Thank you, Sat.